All right, chapter 21. It's called No, Mrs. Brooke. The rest of the class runs out of the classroom to go to recess. I get up to go to Mrs. Brooke time, and I decide to ask her if Dad can come see her since she doesn't charge insurance. At least, she never charges me insurance. And she said she would see him even though he's a grown-up. Mrs. Johnson says, "Oh, Caitlin, I almost forgot. Mrs. Brooke isn't here." I know, she's in her room. No, she had to go out of town. Why? Her sister is having difficulty with her pregnancy. I look at the person. Did you just burp? Mrs. Johnson looks at the floor and then at me. She's having a lot of trouble with her twin babies who aren't born yet. I thought babies were only a lot of trouble after they were born. Sometimes it's before and after, so Mrs. Brooke is going to see what she can do to help her sister. She sighs. I hope everything goes well. I wonder what that means. What if it doesn't? I just mean I hope the babies are fine. Well, what if they're not? What'll be wrong with them? I'm sure they'll be fine. Pregnancy is just hard. How does she know? Are you pregnant? Mrs. Johnson's face turns pinkish. No. I don't want to be pregnant either, I say. I have enough hard things to deal with. Mrs. Johnson lets me sit in the classroom instead of going to recess. She gives me a paper so I can draw. I decide to draw a picture for Mrs. Brooke of stuffed animals looking at the facial expressions chart because I have that chart memorized. Mrs. Johnson says I should write a letter to Mrs. Brooke to go with my drawing. I sigh because I'd rather draw, but Mrs. Johnson looks at the person hard, so I write a letter even though I'm much better at drawing than writing, and Mrs. Johnson should know that by now. Dear Mrs. Brooke, I'm sorry about your difficult sister and the babies who are still inside of her causing her trouble. I hope they start behaving so you can come back soon. I will even practice my finesse and keep pace with you when we walk, and I promise I will be your friend. Scout's honor, Caitlin Ann Smith. All right, chapter 22 looks a bit longer. It's called Drawings. Dad says we're going to a fundraiser for the families of people who were shot. He says it's being given by people who care about us and want to help us. And even though I don't like crowds, we still have to go because we have to show we appreciate what they're doing for us, and we should act like we appreciate it and like we want to be there, even if we don't, because no one has to do a fundraiser, but they're doing it anyway. I want to go, I tell him, so you can stop making excuses. A fundraiser sounds like a good thing. He stops talking. He tilts his head like he doesn't get it. I don't know why. What kind of fun things will there be, I ask. He shrugs. I think there's a silent auction and a raffle, and I'm not sure what else. Oh, that doesn't sound like much fun. Caitlin, he says in his warning voice. Okay. The fundraiser is in the Virginia Dare Middle School cafeteria. When we get out of the car near the cafeteria door, Dad stops and stares at the school for a moment. He blinks a lot and swallows hard, so the lump that sticks out of his throat keeps going in and out. Finally, he takes a sharp breath before he pulls the door open. The noise spills out, and it smells like soggy spaghetti, and the light makes me squint. Almost immediately, bodies corner us like we are germs, and they are the white blood cells sent to surround and destroy us. I think I will choke. I grab Dad's hand. It's big and hairy and sweaty, but I deal with it because I think I will be smothered. This is my daughter, Caitlin, Dad says. Hello, Caitlin, a voice says. How are you? I keep looking at the ground. Dad's head comes down to my face. Remember to look at the person and say something nice. I don't look at the person, but I say nice stuff. I'm 10. My birthday is next month. My favorite color is purple. My favorite game is Mario Kart, but any video game is fine. My favorite video is Bambi, except lately I don't like it so much. Oh, well, that's nice, the voice says, and the body moves away. My dad says, not so much about yourself next time. I try to tell him I'm being helpful because I'm giving people information about what I want for my birthday in case they want to buy me something, but Dad introduces me to another person. This time I Look at the hat, which at least is close to the person. The hat is the size of an umbrella, and that gives me an idea of what to say. When people say it's raining cats and dogs, it isn't really. That just means it's raining a lot. But it can rain frogs if they get sucked up in the storm and they plop down on top of your head. And snow can be pink if red dirt dissolves in water and evaporates. And Dad squeezes my shoulder. This means the conversation is over. Another voice shouts, "Hi, Caitlin!" And a big hand comes into my personal space, so I back up. "Say hello," Dad says. "Hello." "Look at the person," Dad reminds me. I keep my head down but tilt it enough to see one of his ears. Dad says, "Caitlin," in his warning voice. "What?" That's closer than the hat." "Say something nice," Dad hisses. When Dad hisses, he is serious. He will not let me leave until I say something nice. I try to focus. I stare at the ear. What can I say that's nice? Finally, I realize and say it. "I don't think you're disgusting just because you have hair sticking out of your ear." Dad pulls me away by both shoulders, which means the conversation is over now. I look around for Michael because his mother was shot like Devin, so he should be at the fundraiser too. I know he's Josh's friend now and not mine, but I don't like all of these people, so I wish I could at least see him. Suddenly a face is in front of mine, and coffee breath goes up my nostrils, and a voice says, "I have someone I bet you'd like to meet." Well, I bet she's wrong. She grabs the hand that isn't holding Dad, and I yank it away from her. "I'll go with you," Dad says. We follow Coffee Breath Woman to an easel with a light on it, and I stare at it. "See, I thought you'd like Mr. Walters." I don't know who or where Mr. Walters is, but I do like the easel. There's a cartoon picture of a boy on it. He has a tiny body and a huge head. His mouth is grinning so much that his cheeks push his eyes up at the corners, so even his eyes look happy, like the photos of eyes that Mrs. Brooke has shown me about 1,000,000 times. A man's hand appears and adds tufts of sticky-outy hair to the giant head. I laugh. Maybe this will be a fundraiser after all. "You like it?" a man's voice says. I nod. Normally I don't talk to strangers, but if he can draw like this, he can't be that strange. "I'm Charlie Walters, the middle school art teacher," the voice says. "Shall I do your picture?" "I do my own pictures," I tell him. "I mean, shall I draw a picture of you?" "No, why would you want a picture of me?" "Your dad here might want a picture of you." I shake my head. He sees me every day. He doesn't need a picture. But this is a different kind of picture. This captures personality and emotion. I look at the person. I look at the hand with his pencil. It's just a charcoal pencil like mine. He chuckles. "You don't believe me?" I shake my head. "I'll show you. Sit down, over there." "No, I want to watch you capturing someone's emotion." "Draw me," Dad says, and he sits on a little stool beyond the easel. I watch the cartoon character grow from a potato head to a porcupine head to a dad head. Mr. Walters puts the ears on the head first, and then a nose, and then a mouth. He squints at Dad for a while before he even draws the eyes. He's very careful with the eyes. He draws them in stages from the outside in. He doesn't stop when he gets to the inside, though. He takes a blue pencil and draws little colored dots and lines that make the eyes look deep and textured and full. And something else, too. They look sad. I stare at Dad's real eyes, and I think I see sad there, too, although it's easier for me to see it in the picture. The picture doesn't blink or look away. "You should do the facial expressions chart at school," I tell Mr. Walters. "You would do a much better job than the one we have now." He nods once and smiles. "Thank you very much." He pulls the sheet of paper off the easel and gives it to Dad and hands me a charcoal pencil. "Would you like to try drawing me now?" "I'm not so good with people or emotions." "I think you're observant, though, and that's the first step." I look at the person. I stare into his eyes. His eyes look happy, but not a mean, laughy kind of happy. "Are you happy?" "Yes. Now let's see if you can draw that." He's still holding the charcoal pencil out to me, so I take it. Mr. Walters gets up and walks over to the stool and sits down facing me. Dad is standing behind me. Go ahead. Draw, Mr. Walters. Well, don't watch me. I can't draw if you're going to watch. All right, I'll wander around the room and look at other things, okay? Okay, if there's a fishing booth, let me know because those always have good prizes. And if there are any gummy worms, grab some before they're all gone, please. I stare at the huge blank paper in front of me. Usually I only have a small piece of paper. I see a hand waving around the outside of the easel. Yoo-hoo! You have to look over here. I peek around the easel. It's Mr. Walters. Start with the outside of my head like I did with your dad. So I do. I make a Mr. Potato Head. Then I add hair, but only a little because Mr. Walters doesn't have much. The nose is easy and so are the ears. The mouth is harder because usually I look at mouths when there are words coming out, and right now there are none coming out of his. It's flat. I do notice some curves and creases though, so I put them in. Feel free to use the colored pencils or pastels too, he says. I shake my head. I don't use colors. My drawings are black and white with no blurry stuff. It's easier to see that way. Blurry is good for stuffed animaling, but not for drawing. Mr. Walters tilts his head, like he doesn't get it, but I don't want to explain right now because I'm busy drawing. Wow, a voice behind me says, that's so awesome. Did you really draw that? I put my arms over the picture to cover it up before turning around to see Emma from school. Let's see it, she says. No. Come on, keep going, I want to watch. I can't do it if you're watching, I tell her. Please? No. A hand squeezes Emma's shoulder. A woman's voice says, let's give her some space and we can come back when she's done. Emma makes a snotty sound but moves away. Good. I'm still stuck on the eyes of my picture, however, and I stare at the paper. You need to look at my eyes, Mr. Walters says. I sigh. Are you related to Mrs. Brooke? No. Why? She always wants me to look in her eyes, too. Eyes are the windows to the soul, Mr. Walters says. If you look inside the eyes, you can see so much about a person. I look at the person, including his eyes. Really? He smiles and nods. But there is something wrong with his smile. I stare into his eyes. Maybe what's wrong is his eyes. They don't look happy, like the photos of happy eyes Mrs. Brooke has shown me. Maybe his smile is not big enough to push his eyes up at the corner like happy eyes are supposed to be. Something's wrong, I tell him. Why do you say that? Your eyes and mouth don't match. Ah, he says, and nods. Maybe you're better at emotions than you think. Except I don't know which is right. Both. I'm smiling because I think you're a wonderful, talented girl. My eyes are sad because I'm thinking about what you and your dad are going through. I think for a minute about what he means. Oh, because of Devon. Yes, because of Devon. He was in my class one quarter. I miss him. Everyone here misses him. Why do you miss him? You're the art teacher. He can't even draw. We all have different passions. His passion was being an Eagle Scout. He won't be able to finish his chest, though, so he can't ever make eagle. He nods. I heard about that chest. His voice is crackly. It's so hard. Devon says, if it's hard, that just means you have to work at it. He shrugs but sniffs too much to talk. Maybe you need to find closure. He looks at the person. I think we all need to find closure. It hurt the whole community. We're all sad. His eyes are so sad now they're starting to water. I put the pencil down on the easel tray. I don't feel like drawing anymore. He jumps up from the stool. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel sad. He looks at the paper on the easel. Wow, this is amazing. Don't you want to give the eyes a try? I shake my head. I don't think I can do a complete face yet. Maybe later. He pulls his eyeless picture off the easel and hands it to me. After my dad is in bed, I sneak into Devon's room and tape Mr. Walters on the wall next to my picture of the eagle. This is the first picture of a face I've ever done, even if it doesn't have eyes.